everyone. I'm the CEO of the Voluptuary Travel. It's been a while, and I definitely wanted to make sure that I continue with these helpful, informative, and resourceful travel chat lives so that you all are prepared and or planning to be prepared to see and take over the world. A lot of people have been talking about and have been experiencing the delays with getting their passports. And I've have actually gone through this experience recently myself, and so I had to make sure that I came to share that with you all and to share some strategies on dealing with passport problems, especially because although I've been in the business for over a decade, there was something new that I learned in this experience that I wanted to make sure that you all are aware of. Um, you know, Things have changed. The prices of passports have increased, and processing times have also increased along with some of the application rules. Nothing too stringent on the rules, but I really just wanted to be a resource. And today we are talking about passport problems. And so the first thing I want to make sure that you know about getting the passport is you want to make sure to apply early. If you are even thinking about going away, you need to really check your passport first because obviously you need that to exit and enter the country. So, wait times and processing times have increased due to COVID, and there's no end in sight to that. When you call the passport agency office, they are actually saying that it's taking 18 weeks regular processing to get your passport. So if you happen to need to renew it, if you are like myself out of pages, or it's about to expire again, you really, really, really want to make sure that you apply early. And I mean, if you don't need it, you're in a position to go and apply for it because you not needing it is a better position since you can, apply for regular processing times and not have to feel like you need to expedite it. It's really, really, really important, like I said, that if you're thinking about traveling overseas, regardless of if you need a passport or not, that you check your documents right away. You really don't want to be in a position where, and it has happened to people that I've known that you've made your reservations, you've made your plans, and then there's something going on with your passport and you realize that now you have to go be, dealing with this system. So my first and number one rule of thumb for dealing with and trying to evade passport problems is applying early. Okay. Now, the second thing I want to say about, passport problems and being prepared to start to deal with them is you want to make sure to track your application status, and you want to make sure to keep track in your phone as a note. You really want to have this handy. It's supremely important, but you need to have your application locator number. Once you submit your passport application at the post office, and the processing center receives that, you are issued a tracking, right? And I have to say that the tracking could use some improvements. I mean, I've ordered from Domino's and I love that they have, the tracker that takes you through receiving your order, making your pizza, to letting you know when it's, on its way to your house. But the government is trying, and this is the way to actually know what is happening or what stage your passport is in. Now, I put the link in this banner here. You go to travel.state.gov. You can search passport tracker and it'll come up. But the link is here just to be more direct and to be more helpful. And again, you really want to make sure that you write down your passport locator number, because if for any reason you don't get your passport, if for any reason you need to call the agency that handles passports, they're going to ask you for that number, and they can kind of tell you where your passport is, and they can also let you know what is going on if you need an appointment. Now, I'm going to leave this up here for 1 second because I want to share a little bit of a story of actually what happened to me. I was slated to depart last week, February 26th. I was supposed to go on my, first international trip of the year. I was super excited to be heading to El Salvador, and I knew I was going away, and I booked my ticket. well in advance. And so as soon as I booked my ticket, I knew that I needed to get more pages added to my passport. I was a little bit conflicted. I wasn't sure if, I should just go on my trip and knowing that my pages were full, or if I should have just, gotten a new passport. The deciding factor for me was hearing that the prices of passports was actually increasing in 2022. And so I ran to the post office. I had some passport pictures lying around, and I literally went to drop in my application right after Christmas. And so I was able to put in my application after Christmas, and they received my passport in house on the 29th. Now it's of December, right? Now I say all of that to say that the processing time does not actually begin until they have received your application. So it's not when you sent it, it's when they get it, right? And so this is why I was able to see by tracking my application when they received it, and I had my locator number ready to go. I didn't think anything of it. I said, okay, I gave it enough time. I counted the number of weeks. And even with, delays, I had, known people that had got their passport, short, with a short amount of time in New York, in my city. And I decided to send it away. And so when I saw that February had arrived and I hadn't gotten my passport yet, I started to worry. And there is a phone number that you can call, and it's the U.S. Passport Agency. It's an 800 number, but you're only allowed to make an appointment 2 weeks before your scheduled departure. Now, this is the government. This is also a large city that I live in, and so there were no appointments available whatsoever, right? But the beauty of having my locator number was that the agents that were on the phone, they were able to tell me exactly where it was. So I knew which processing center my passport was at. And so knowing that was somewhat beneficial, not for my stress levels, but for the logistics of handling my passport problem, which was I did not have my passport. I could not get an appointment at the passport agency to go in person to figure out what was happening with my passport and or to get it printed same day or the next day. And it wasn't working that way. My rule of thumb is to try to get an appointment with the agency. However, even that is proving to be something that is very much hit or miss and really doesn't help because there are a limited number of appointments in each of the states, and they're often having people travel to different states to get their passports. And so I was kind of at my wit's end. I was supremely upset. Luckily, there was a schedule change on my ticket, and I was able to change the date so that I, could give it a week, extra to get my passport on time or in time to leave. And so reading through, kind of digging, reading through threads about getting an appointment, somebody commented that you can actually get help by not contacting the agency. And so that is going to be my third tip of dealing with passport problems is you can contact your local representative if you have not received your passport. And the reason that this is in place is because your local representative as a ward and a not a ward, excuse me, as a employee of the state, they have access to communicating directly with the passport agency, whereas we can't do it as the everyday consumer, which I'm really not happy about. But we focus on what we can control. I was able to look up my congressional representative, and I did that by just doing a search based on my zip code. I looked up, who is my congressional representative. I typed in my zip code, and I was able to find out the specific, Congress people that, service my community. I called three of them. One of them wasn't actually correct, but they all got back to me. And I think that's really, really important to name is that these people are responsive. And when you're in a situation when you're having passport problems, it can be super, super stressful, especially if you're trying to go away. And so I contacted Representative Rice and her office. Thank you so much, Kira. I know you probably won't see this, but I'll send you the link. I'm supremely grateful that you were able to help me. And she sent me a form that I filled out, and they actually asked me to include my locator number. Now, when I emailed her back the form with all my information filled out, it was supremely easy because one, I had the locator number, and through making the calls to the Department of State, I was able to know that my passport was actually in Arizona. That was the first thing that was helpful, knowing where it was within the United States. Because when you apply for your passport, they send it to different regional centers where they actually print it on your behalf. So knowing where it was and knowing my locator number, and telling them what was going on, she was able to forward that communication and reach out to, the processing center where my passport was. They emailed her back. She let me know in real time exactly what they said, and my passport was at my doorstep literally Friday morning. It was overnighted, and I didn't have to spend anything extra because really I did my part to get my passport on time. It's just that, bureaucracy, things happen, and I didn't have it, when I needed it. Luckily, I was able to move my arrangements around, but this entire chat is to make sure that you are aware that please, 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 if you are thinking about going away overseas, make sure that as soon as that thought enters your mind, you check your paperwork. As a consultant for people who are traveling, I always tell them all of these things are supremely important. And the first step of planning is making sure your affairs are in order. So make sure processing times are longer. Please make sure that you apply as early as possible. If you don't need it, go get it. Make sure you don't wait until the very last minute because there are significant delays and issues. But if for any reason you are in that situation and you're having passport problems, I really, really, really hope that this live was helpful for you and that you are able to take these notes, track your passport, get your locator number. And if you're still having issues with getting an appointment and or knowing what's happening with your passport, reaching out to your local representative. I want to encourage you, of course, if you like this content, please share it and tag or pass it along to anyone who might need it. And of course, please make sure that you subscribe to the voluptuary.com, where I have lots of, great inspirational information, advice, and ways to really get you to connect with the world via the five senses. I'll be back soon, and I really appreciate your time today, and I hope this was helpful. Bye.